What's up, everybody? Danimal Daniel Jobber here with another episode of Jobbing Out with Danimal Daniel Jobber, the 205 Live and WWE Cruiserweight Report. Thanks for bearing with me this week. I apologize for being so late getting this up, but I don't know, I needed a little downtime from wrestling after Wrestlemania. It is a grueling weekend. I think anybody who follows and covers wrestling can say Wrestlemania weekend is rather grueling. And then, of course, with the exciting Raw and Smackdown the days after that, wow, there's been a lot of great wrestling action and developments over the past little bit here. It was quite the week. On Raw, we had, of course, WrestleMania, of course, the retirement of, or the final matches of Goldberg and The Undertaker. Very emotional there. Of course, the surprising title regaining for the women's Smackdown title by Naomi. And, of course, the not-so-surprising victory by Brock Lesnar over Goldberg in his final match to win the Universal title. The surprise of the return of the Hardy Boys to win the tag team titles in the Fatal 4-Way, which became a Fatal 4-Way ladder match. And I think that was it. All the other titles. Pardon me. And, of course, Kevin Owens defeating Chris Jericho to take the United States Championship. So, number of shocking title changes. More not so shocking. Of course, the exciting to see Naomi win the title in front of her crowd, but home crowd. And, of course, the Hardys was the shocking one. The other two were pretty much as predicted. So, and then, of course, on Monday Night Raw, with the introduction of the Revival, Dash and Dawson on Monday Night Raw, that was exciting. Other than that, of course, the heel reaction from Roman Reigns, and of course after Raw they had Goldberg announce his retirement and thank the fans for bearing with him through it all and having his family enjoy this time of him having that run, and says never say never about coming back again. So who knows? Maybe he'll come out of retirement. I don't think so. It'd be a long shot, but we'll see what happens. Then, of course, on SmackDown, the big introductions of Shinsuke Nakamura and 10, the perfect 10 Ty Dillinger. Yeah, quite the exciting week for... That was following a epic WrestleMania, which was a solid show from beginning to end. Well, nearly to the end. Some feel the ending fell off a little bit. Of course, with I don't know how you could knock Naomi winning the title, women's SmackDown title on the second last match, but... And I really, really enjoyed the long, drawn-out, brutal battle between Triple H and Seth Rollins. Yeah, I thought that was my match of the night. I know some thought it was maybe too long for what it was, but I enjoyed every minute of it, back and forth battling. But anyways, enough of the week of wrestling. We need to get to the Cruiserweights here, because this is going to be a long video as it is with all the action. So, Cruiserweight starts off with the main event show, which has actually pretty good 6-man tag between Mustafa Ali, Gran Metalik, and Lince Dorado. Surprising to see both of those guys in the same match, and of course, another week back on the roster. Lince Dorado actually wasn't on last week, I don't think. Versus Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, and Drew Gulak. Really, it's a good chance to get a lot of the undercard into the action, which is a good thing, because they sometimes get the shaft when it comes to WWE television. The crowd was fairly quiet at start. It's a typical good cruiserweight match, but not much at stake in comparison to WrestleMania, so couldn't expect too much. Mustafa takes a lot of punishment in this match, which might be a sign of them slowly grooming him as a new top babyface in the, one of the top, I should say, babyfaces in the cruiserweight division. A guy who takes a lot of punishment, but overcomes it in the end, or in the case of the later matches, as I'll get to it. Can't quite win the big one, but I'll get more into this later. Ali finally makes, after getting beat up for quite a while, Ali finally makes a hot tag to Lince Dorado, and the two high-flying masked luchadors, Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik, put on a clinic of high-flying cruiserweight action, culminating in Lince Dorado setting up Drew Gulak for a quick tag to Mustafa Ali, and he finishes things off with the 450 splash for the victory. So yeah, the Mustafa Ali takes punishment, and then the hot tag to the two luchadors who put on a great show and set him up for the victory. a good way to elevate Mustafa Ali, and of course to get Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik back into action. And of course, Grand Metalik's really moving up because he's wrestling every week, and every match he puts on, he's impressive. This one he did a couple of high-flying moves, even though he was never, or rarely ever, the legal man in the ring. Anyways, once again, the 450 splash for the baby faces to get the victory from Mustafa Ali. The crowd did appreciate the high-flying cruiserweight ending, even though they were quiet for most of the match. But it was a good match, anyways. Although you could really just watch the last minute or two and get the main enjoyment out of the match. There wasn't all that much in the first few minutes, just the heels, doing their typical tagging in and out and controlling Mustafa Ali. Yeah, this match was mostly about showcasing Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado's luchador talent, and of course showing Mustafa Ali to be an underdog babyface who gets a victory in the end. So it's about elevating him as much as anything. But anyways, that was all the stuff leading up to Wrestlemania 33 and the big epic Cruiserweight Championship match on the pre-show between the champion Neville and Austin Aries. A-double. Wow. What didn't this match have except high-paced, high-flying action like other Cruiserweight matches have? But there was enough flying. I mean, it wasn't certainly not a match of all ground game, that's for sure. But this match was more about two men who don't like each other, battling it out with their greatest prize at stake. These two guys beat the hell out of each other for like 15 minutes. I can't really do this match justice by talking about it much without actually giving it a full play-by-play. I mean, you got to go back and watch this part of WrestleMania kickoff show. If you did nothing else but watch this match on the kickoff show, you'd be pretty impressed, even if you're not into the Battle Royal or into the IC title. Although Ambrose and Corbin had a decent quick match. It was the announcers mentioned Austin Aries' damaged eye socket that had been surgically repaired early on in the match, kind of foreshadowing what was to come in the match. Lots of back and forth action early on, lots of reversals. Both men hit a drop kick from the top turnbuckle at one point. Both have false finishes. About 10 minutes in, Neville does his vicious German suplex where he drops his opponent on their head. Almost. These are vicious. I don't know how they do it, but he literally throws them backwards almost onto their head. It's almost like they either have to do some kind of a handstand back flip as they do it, or maybe even totally flip beyond the up and down vertical position so that they're already on their way in the other direction. I don't know how they protect their neck, but it looks dangerous. It's a testament to how much skill these guys have to protect themselves from injury and how far these cruiserweights will go to entertain you. Tell you, they're killing themselves out there. I've been watching them now for months on end, and they're willing to kill themselves out there almost to entertain you. They're worthy of more respect than they get, in my opinion. And as the match heats up after that, Aries hits his discus 5-arm, sending Neville out of the ring. Didn't get a chance to go for the pin because Neville rolled out. A moment later, he gets a 450 splash from the top turnbuckle. Gets the near fall, not quite. And this puts Neville into a submission hold, the last chancery. And of course, they're teasing Neville's going to tap out and Austin Aries is going to be the new champion. But as it looked like it was about to happen, Neville reaches underneath and rakes the injured eye socket of Austin Aries. A beautiful heel move. And this is the end for Austin Aries. Neville hits his red arrow, retains the Cruiserweight Championship at the pre-show of WrestleMania 33, the grand stage of them all. Brilliant heel victory for Neville, protecting both men, as Neville appears to have only beat Aries because of cheating. A great way to keep either one of these men from looking weak, because as later on you're going to find out this isn't quite over. Now, this match was a solid 15-minute showcase and ended up being one of the best matches on the card. And this is a card that was pretty much solid for the better part of the show. So someone says the ending might have tailed off, but this was one of the matches of the night. And Neville also played up the angle that he did what he had to do to get the result he wanted, winning and retaining the championship in true top heel fashion, raking the injured eye of Austin Aries. Who'd have thought it, man? I really thought Austin Aries was on his way to a championship victory here, which still makes me wonder if maybe he's maybe having a mild punishment for the botch on Raw where he dropped Noam Dar and put him out of action for the past few weeks. It was nasty. So anyways, then we go on to the Monday Night Raw show following that, and really, I'm glad they only had one Cruiserweight match on the card, because it was a long WrestleMania as it was. So, anyways, it's champion Neville putting on a non-title match against Mustafa Ali. Once again, really elevating Ali, which is impressing me. He's one of the performers of the week. Although Neville is obviously hands down the Cruiserweight of the week in my book. Anyway, and of course he did everything he needed to do to regain the top spot in the power rankings, which I'll be releasing soon. So, anyways, Neville starts off cutting a promo, bragging about his victory, how he did what he had to do, and how he did what he had to do to win. Did what he said he would do, and did what he had to do to win. Yeah, because he was the one saying, I'm going to win, and of course they both were. But anyways, while he's bragging and gaining some crowd heat, he's interrupted by Mustafa Ali, his opponent. This match is another 10 minutes. Not a bad body of work for Neville in a 2-day period. 25 minutes, two pretty good matches. Earning his paycheck and keeping his position as champion, Anyways, the match was on Raw, and many people watch it anyway, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But the highlight of the match was a springboard backflip suplex-like move. Hard to explain. Neville's facing outwards in the top turnbuckle, and Ali's goes up on the top turnbuckle and grabs him, and they both flip backwards, or of course, it looks like Ali's flipping him backwards, doing a complete somersault, smack onto the mat, and both appear to be injured from this. Both sell up the injury really well, so Ali's not able to get a pin there. But it looked sick and got a good reaction from the crowd. Both men did a great job of selling, as I said, how much it hurt. Ali's not able to go for the pin. But Ali does get a near fall after a vicious somersault DDT on Neville. But Neville saves the match by putting his foot on the rope, breaking up the pin. Exciting moment there. Ali then goes for his inverted 450 splash, but misses, and then Neville seals the victory. However, a little change. He goes to the top rope to do his red arrow, but he decides at the last minute not to. Hops down, and decides to do a more heelish thing, and put Ali into his Rings of Saturn submission hold and make him tap out. I guess he figured his red arrow was too much of a fan favorite, or too much of a throwback from the days when he was a fan favorite, and he decided to gain a little more heat by doing his more vicious submission hold. But it was a good match. Showcase Ali as an underdog who can't quite win the big one, which they're still, I think, trying to build something for him later on. And Neville is a strong, nearly unbeatable champion, which is a stark contrast to the last few weeks when they've been making Aries look stronger going into WrestleMania, and Neville look a little weaker and more foolish. So I was very happy to see that. And once again, I still wonder if Austin Aries is being so punished in a little way for the botch on Raw. But we'll see. That remains to be seen, I guess. And finally, we get to the big show, 205 Live. Finally, the aftermath show following WrestleMania. And the show kicks off right with the action of, they kind of showed a little bit of highlights from the WrestleMania match, but we have Akira Tozawa versus the Brian Kendrick. First I thought, why are they doing this again? The same match as last week. However, this story's been ongoing pretty good, and this did a great job of answering my question, this match. It was pretty good. Kendrick comes out taunting Tozawa for requesting the rematch and says, I'm going to give you lesson number 10. And of course the crowd, this is a big mistake, because the crowd starts going, 10, 10, 10, 10. Actually, because they just saw Ty Dillinger debut on the show earlier that night, of course, because it's taped right after Smackdown Live. And of course, this kind of backfires on everybody, including the Brian Kendrick. But the Brian Kendrick's a real scout. He picks up on it right away and really kind of throws it back at him and goes, oh, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Looking around, I misjudge you guys for a bunch of goofballs, but serves me right for judging a book by its cover, eh? Smacks it right back at him for that bit there. Pretty impressive heel work, and shows how experienced and comfortable he is with different crowd reactions and handling the unexpected reactions from the crowd. But anyways, it was witty, and I really appreciated the way he smacked it right back at him in a witty fashion. So, anyways, Kendrick returns to lesson number 10. It's not about athleticism, it's about psychological supremacy. And this essentially sets up the entire theme of the match, making the entire match a really interesting story. Crowd is actually surprisingly into the match after that, really behind Akira Tozawa. They're really getting into the ha, 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 ha battle cry. And even at one point, they were actually initiating it, trying to get to rally Tozawa when Kendrick had him in a submission hold. But it was every time Tozawa initiates it, the crowd seems to respond. So Tozawa's battle cry is getting over with the fans. The crowd was even doing a rhythmic clapping at one point, cheering on Tozawa. So I was really impressed. The crowd still had a lot of energy in this match. And as these two men beat the heck out of each other for almost 10 minutes with an impressive Cruiserweight offensive performance by Tozawa. And of course a few moments of Kendrick trying to look like he's the master of psyching out Tozawa. However, following a suicide dive by Tozawa that further excited the crowd, great finish to this match, man. Kendrick tries to suplex Tozawa from the top turnbuckle, but Tozawa throws him off. Kendrick complains to the ref that Tozawa poked me in the eye, man, he poked me in the eye, but the ref will have none of it. Kendrick then charges Tozawa in the corner. Tozawa leaps from the top turnbuckle over top of Kendrick, appears to land funny and hurt his leg, and he's selling up that injury. And, of course, Neville wants to attack. Kendrick wants to attack, but the referee's keeping him away, trying to attend to Tozawa's injury. And then, of course, Kendrick goes to walk away, and then up comes Tozawa with rolling up Kendrick in an O'Connor roll, grabs his tights and gets the 3 count, and huge surprising victory. And I loved it. The student ends up psyching out the master. Great show, and Tozawa finally has his victory over Kendrick to get revenge for the 10 lessons he'd give him up to that point. The crowd appreciates Tozawa's victory, but in my opinion, not nearly enough for such a great end to such a great storyline. Maybe they hadn't watched the whole thing is all I can figure, because they didn't appreciate the significance of it. Maybe because it was a heel-type victory. But after the long time agonizing by Brian Kendrick, it was a great way to end that feud, or at least to give Tozawa the upper hand if it isn't quite over. And to seal off the story, Tozawa grabs the mic after the match and tells Kendrick with a big smile and in a humorous Japanese accent voice, "Psychological supremacy? I teach you lesson number 1." The crowd did appear to get it a bit by that point and gave some appreciation for it, but I don't know, I didn't feel like the crowd really appreciated the end of such a great story. And it was a great show. I'm glad they had this ongoing storyline. Definitely elevated both men, and that's what a great storyline should do in wrestling. It should elevate both men, heel, babyface, or at least both competitors, regardless of what their I don't know what you call it, alignment is, I guess. To put it back in terms of Dungeons and Dragons. Anyways, great opening match. Great way to get the show going. Alright, next we had Rich Swann versus Oney Lorcan, the Boston Brawler from NXT, one of the newcomer heels up and coming in NXT. And the crowd was still into the show at this point, and a bunch were moving to Swann's "Can you handle this? Can you handle this?" entrance. Music and dancey entrance, of course, and then the yellow NXT symbol lights up the entrance, and out comes Oney Lorcan, like I said, the new NXT heel. This wasn't totally a squash match, surprisingly. In fact, it was kind of the opposite. Oney Lorcan, wow. Early on, Lorcan looked impressive, and the Orlando crowd actually welcomed him with the "Oney Lorcan, Oney Lorcan" chant. Many of them are probably NXT fans, because there's probably a lot of fans present from Orlando, or Florida area, Orlando area, which is where the NXT Full Sail University is, as I think I said previously. Anyway, yeah, this made this an interesting show because of the fact that many of the fans were potentially NXT fans, at least very familiar with NXT, because it's a local show for them. So anyways, he's like a local boy of sorts, to Oney Lorcan. Lorcan was a better competitor through most of the match, actually. Rich Swann, though, after an amazing show from Lorcan, Rich Swann's finally able to overcome this impressive display. Hits his Phoenix Splash for the victory. Nothing too impressive, but a good showing for Lorcan, and of course, seeing Swann overcome a little adversity. And the crowd's still into it and enjoyed Swann's victory a little bit, so. Lorcan did some pretty good heel work too here though, as well. He may be pretty good up-and-coming heel in NXT, although he is a bit small with his size, so maybe he'll eventually end up on the Cruiserweight division. Well, who knows? This might have been a debut or a preview of what he might be able to be in 205 Live down the road. Anyways, after the match, Rich Swann grabs the mic and decides to spill the beans about how he's the one sending all the gifts to Alicia Fox, despite Noam Dar taking credit for it all. I'm not sure why they decided to do this while Dar was out with an injury. I'm either thinking Dar's coming back next week, is finally recovered from the injury, or maybe he'll be out for a while longer than they expected, and they figure they better get the heat from this story in place quickly before that people forget about it. Maybe it's part of that, and then they'll just have Swann every week reminding people that he's the one who sent these gifts to Alicia Fox. Or maybe you can have some encounters with Alicia Fox, and maybe Noam Dar, or maybe he'll make an appearance if he's out of action wrestling-wise. But either way, they might want to keep this story fresh as well if Dar's going to be out of action for a while. Or maybe, like I said, we'll see him back next week, and the feud between these two will start over Alicia Fox. So either way, this is the only reason I can think of why Rich Swann is left out of the Fatal 4-Way main event at the end. Because he deserves to be in that match a lot more than TJ Perkins. There is some exposure to being in a singles match as opposed to a multi-man one, but that Fatal 4-Way coming up is so amazing, and of course being for the #1 contendership, it really should have been Rich Swann. Anyways, before that, though, we had Drew Gulak approaching Mustafa Ali backstage. Once again, tries to recruit him in his little crusade of cruiserweights, not doing dangerous cruiserweight moves anymore. Ali once again shrugs him off, and Gulak says, I'm sorry. Ali shrugs him off, and the Gulak once again says that the Cruiserweight wrestling style in 205 Live is risky and irresponsible, and like it or not, change is coming. He says he's just offering Ali a chance to be on the right side of history. Ooh, you smug bastard, you. Drew Gulak. I still don't think it's going to work, though. Good luck with your crusade of trying to make a Cruiserweights not wrestle like Cruiserweights, Mr. Gulak. Good luck with that. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, then we have a quick bit where they introduce the 4 men from the United Kingdom Wrestling Division, as well as the United Kingdom champion, Tyler Bate. And they announce they're planning a new weekly United Kingdom wrestling show on the WWE Network. Not sure how I feel about that, if I expect it'll interest me or not, and it probably is a great way to sell the WWE Network to the United Kingdom audience. Although will it catch on in the US? I don't know. I mean, it's even the Cruiserweight division, 205 Live, is still working on building their American audience, so it's hard to say. But anyways, next Neville comes out and introduces the main event Fatal 4-Way, cutting a promo, gloating over his victory. He says that some say he gouged Aries' surgically repaired eye out of desperation to retain his title, but he says, that's ridiculous! I did it because Austin Aries deserved it! Great heel action, getting some heat. Neville actually gets the crowd to celebrate with three cheers for your king! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! He then give thanks to the fans for never believing in him, lighting a fire in his belly and making him become royalty. He thanks Austin Aries for making his Wrestlemania victory that much sweeter by being a detestable clown, and thanks the entire roster for their futile attempts to take his title, making him look good and looking like an amazing champion. He then announces the Fatal 4-Way match, to which he will watch to see who is the next lamb to come to the slaughter. Finally, down to the main event of the evening, the Fatal 4-Way #1 contender match between Austin Aries, Jack Gallagher, Mustafa Ali, and TJ Perkins. First off, as I was saying, why is TJP in the match? He's barely won a match in weeks. He was left off TV last week going into WrestleMania, which dropped him way down in my power rankings. The only explanation I can think of is that the two other roster babyfaces not in the match ahead of him were involved in singles matches that directly pertain to their storylines. Of course, another edit. Come on. Akira Tozawa with his big match against the Brian Kendrick, and of course Rich Swann with his match, after which he was able to announce that he was the one sending the gift to Alicia Fox. So I think he's just the beneficiary of that. Rich Swann really should have been in the match instead of him. Some might even argue that Grand Metalik is really coming on as of late, should have been in there, but he's only been back in action for a small handful of weeks, so I can see why they gave the spot to Perkins over him. But really, yeah, it should have been Rich Swann in the match. But anyways, the match was extremely entertaining. 11 minutes, fun and excitement. I couldn't do this match justice again. It's another one of those matches that I couldn't do justice without doing a complete commentary. I urge you to go out, watch the show, just for this one match, if nothing else. Watch this match, because it's what Cruiserweights are all about. This match had everything. Gallagher does his corner handstand bit, and later on does his Mary Poppins umbrella attack on the other three competitors outside of the ring from the top turnbuckle. Austin Aries does his rolling elbow and his heat-seeking missile suicide dive. But there is really two key highlights I want to touch on that really stood out in this match. About halfway through the match, Gallagher ends up grabbing Perkins from behind near the corner, and then Austin Aries comes in with a thunderclap and grabs Gallagher from behind, and then in comes Mustafa Ali to do an epic triple neckbreaker. RKO out of nowhere. And then proceeds to try a pin each one of the three in sequence, to no avail. But wow, what a spot that was. And then it was the second one. A moment later, Ali's stunned on the top turnbuckle with TJP stunned in the corner below him. And Jack Gallagher comes in, and him and Austin Aries decide to team up for a moment. And they both step on the back of TJ Perkins and do a double superplex on Mustafa Ali. It was funny watching TJP wave his arms around almost like a video game character trying to sell up how painful it was to have these two men standing on his back with one foot. course, he had the other foot on the rope, so it wasn't as bad as he was selling it up to be, but boy, it looked amazing. Those two spots, man, yeah, absolutely amazing. You really got to watch this match. I mean, these two guys take turns, just, you know, typical fatal four-way style. The time of this match was amazing. They take turns having their spots, and just action from one moment to the end. They fill up that 11 minutes like nothing. You wouldn't believe it. And the ending sequence is just as amazing, too. First off, Mustafa Ali is knocked out of the match because Jack Gallagher goes to charge Austin Aries, who was attacking Ali in the corner, had him up in the top turnbuckle. Aries moves out of the way, and Jack Gallagher hits his corner drop kick, knocking Ali clear off the top turnbuckle, out of the ring and into the barricade, or almost to the barricade. It looked nasty, but it was planned. And of course Gallagher looks like, well, what did I do? I didn't mean to do that, but I'm pretty sure it was all planned. But it was poor Mustafa Ali's out of the ring, and he never got up from that. He left the other three men to finish the match because that was the way to get him out of the picture. So they want to make him look strong. I can see why they wanted to get him out of there and not involve him in the ending, which he wasn't going to win. So, but anyways, Jack Gallagher and TJ Perkins finally battled out in the ring, taking shots at one another back and forth. TJP hits his detonation kick, sends Gallagher reeling. He goes in for the attack though, and Gallagher hits his headbutt, and both men are reeling. Gallagher falls out of the ring, and then out of nowhere, there comes Austin Aries with his discus 5-arm on TJ Perkins, seals the victory, and remains the #1 contender for Neville's title. Just, wow, that match blew me away. I don't know, I mean, it's an A match. It's not a match of the year candidate, I don't think, but man, that's an A match for me. I couldn't imagine a better fatal four-way all that often, anyways. And it was Austin Aries being punished for his botch move on Raw. The punishment's definitely over now because he's back in the #1 contendership, and I expect we're going to see another title match between these two guys, either at the next pay-per-view, which is Payback, unlike what I was saying in my WrestleMania review, which hope you go back and watch. It's Payback, not Extreme Rules, as I said I was saying on that. Payback is the next Raw pay-per-view at the end of the month here. So, but anyways, these four men put on one of the must-see matches of the week outside of WrestleMania and NXT TakeOver. Kudos to the 205 Live writers for putting on such a great match, and for the four competitors. It was great. Anyways, the show ends with Austin Aries staring down Neville and selling up the sore eye to remind fans how Neville cheated to beat him at WrestleMania, and both men go off the air shouting at each other with Aries pointing at his eye. Wow, what an amazing week of Cruiserweight action. There's a lot of great stuff this week. I couldn't make this video much shorter. I'm amazed it's actually going to be within the half hour. Because, yeah, I thought I was going to be on for 45 minutes with all the action I had to cover. Anyways, I don't want to keep this on much longer. Sorry again for taking so long to get this out. I appreciate you bearing with me. Hope you still enjoy it. Hope you still check out my power rankings, even though it's getting close to the next edition and next week of Cruiserweight action. Once again, this is Danimal Daniel Jobber, your self-proclaimed Duke of the Cruiserweights. You can follow me at Daniel Jobber on Twitter, and of course on Instagram. I'm Danimal Daniel Jobber, all lowercase letters. You can also urge you to go on my website, danimaldanieljobber.ca, where you can watch this video, you can see my power rankings all the time, and just all my other fun content and everything. Yeah, always have fun stuff on my website. And of course, leave comments, give me a thumbs up, please, because to watch these videos and not ever say anything, that ain't right! So please, comments, let me know what you think. Let me know how you're finding the Cruiserweight division so far. Talk to me, man, talk to me! I'm here for you, but I need your feedback and communication. Anyways, yes, so yeah, do that. Thumbs up. Subscribe to me. Heck, subscribe, and then you'll get these videos right away on my YouTube channel. The one I use the most now, Danimal Daniel Jobber, or Daniel Jobber, I guess, technically, it's under. That's where most of those videos and my wrestling content goes up, so that's where you want to subscribe, man. That's where it's at. That's where the action is. Anyways, thanks again for watching. This is Danimal Daniel Jobber, have a great week. Jobber out!